some things you can control, some things you can't, but as long as you put in all the effort and you were prepared.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of Come and Clean Podcast. This is your host, Peter O. Estevez. Thank you for being with us again today. The end of the year, the end of 2020, and 2020 has been an incredible journey for all of us. It has brought us together, although we have been separated physically, but it has given us an opportunity to be able to look and support and to look for each other for support and encouragement. And to that point, our guest today is an incredible individual. He is a professional athlete. He's an entrepreneur. He played for the Philadelphia Eagles, for the England Patriots, for the Denver Broncos. He is a CEO of Iron Visuals and a branding agency and Visual Creative Studios, which does or creates cinematic visuals and video. Quentin Gause. Hello, Quentin, and welcome to Come and Clean Podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. I'm super excited to be on here.
Thank you for coming on. We were talking before we hit the record button, and tell us a little bit about you. Tell us about what got you interested in football.
That's a long story, but I'll keep it short. Man, I think the start of it is how what got me interested in it is from what my dad did, when my mom and dad, how they felt me when I was younger. And when I was a young kid, I had an IEP. So it took me a little bit longer to learn concepts. I was the kid that went into the other classroom while the other kids were like having fun on the playground, and I had to learn. So from kindergarten all the way up through college, I had an IEP with me. And most people that know what that is can understand. And
let me interrupt you. Tell us what IEP is for the audience, for whoever in the audience may not know what that is.
Right. So an IEP is an individual education plan or 504 plan. And it's just like you have extra time on tests or extra help within the classroom. So that has been a big factor in my life, which has helped me get to where I needed to go. And when I say that is like, there was a lot of doubters when I was younger. They're like, man, you can't, I don't think you can make it to college. I think you should just get into a trade, which a trade isn't bad. Like you can make a lot of good money in a trade. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to get a full scholarship, go to college. I wrote down I want to go to the NFL, and I wanted to later on become a sports broadcaster. So I love the podcasts. I love being on TV and stuff. And I've done internships and all that. And that's always been my journey. So the football aspect comes in. My dad, he was a big time player when he was back in Rochester, New York, played semi-pro a lot more, and growing up wanted his boys to be football players. So he would always train us. I remember when I was 4 years old, he put me down on the track. He was like, you're not going to be on my back anymore. You got to run around the track by yourself. And I was like, okay. And I just did it. And he's like, oh, all right, son. And I kept up with him. And like, there's little things he saw here and there that he knew was like, okay, he's an intense dude. Like he's ready to play some ball. And I think the one moment that I really knew football was for me was when I was on Pop Warner and we did a drill, the Nutcracker drill. I got up, came in, hit one of the running backs, and my eyes were just like Ray Lewis eyes, it's big, Michael Singletary eyes, it's huge. And my uncle was my coach, and he talked to my dad. He's like, Rick, he's ready. I think he's ready. So ever since then, they've constantly trained, took a lot of time to train me, took a lot of time to put me around really great people. Guys like from the Rochester area, like Roland Williams, Tony Jordan. These guys played in the NFL from my area. So I've always stayed around like good people around the community. And we constantly just followed the blueprint. We didn't know what we were doing. All we knew was to contact as many people that were in the football space, college space, that knew how to get there the right way, what camps to attend. And we made sure to like stick through the journey, and we made some trials and error. There were times where we didn't have funds to travel, and we just made it happen. We found a way to make it happen. And that led to a $250,000 scholarship and to go to Rutgers. And the story goes on from there.
Wow, what an incredible story. You know what catches my attention about that story is that you describe yourself as being an IEP. You know, I came to the States when I was a young boy in the fourth grade. So I enter a program very similar to IEP called ESL, English as a second language,
Mhm.
and gave me more time to learn. But what I find very interesting about your story and a lot of the stories of entrepreneurs is that we have that one moment, that identifying moment, that moment that sets the tone for our future, right? And your uncle, through practice, was able to identify in whatever look you gave him in your eyes. You know, when you did that hit, when you did that tackle, and he saw your eyes, he saw that excitement, and he's ready. He's ready. And
Yeah.
that particular moment completely transitioned and changed the rest of your life.
Hmm. Yeah, it definitely did.
Let me ask you a question, Quentin. What would have happened? What would you be today had your uncle and your father not taking that type of interest? As many of our parents in many communities miss those moments.
That's very true. I think it even starts back a little bit. I mean, to answer that question, have I had people that have been accountable. So like my mom, my dad. My mom's from Panama, so she took the same. She was probably in the same program when left Panama City, and she's always been a proponent of hard work and and accountability. So my uncle, same thing. So he told me I would not be a captain on that Pop Warner football team, and he said you're not going to be a captain because I'm not going to be one of the uncles that like pulls somebody up just because they're my nephew, and that made me work harder, and that pulled a lot out of me, and that created that moment of like that, that one nutcracker drill, and me wanting to go above and beyond, just because somebody said I can't do it. I'm going to make it happen, and I did become a captain because I proved it. And so like, yeah, if that didn't happen, I think, yeah, a lot of the characteristics of myself and like what I've built up to this point, I probably want to be like, yeah, the Quentin Gause I am, because I didn't I gave up. I would have given up, as a young kid, and that says a lot as a young pup. Like, if you're already doing that early, that's going to transition to something else greater later on.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one of the things that I find in many entrepreneurs is the fact that we are always ready to pivot, right?
Right.
We become prepared. I am trying to change the screen. There you go. We are prepared to pivot, and usually that starts at a very young age. You know,
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs, and I have studied many of them. I have read many books. I've been an entrepreneur for all of my life, although I had some college education and eventually some continuing education, even at a very high level at Harvard University. Uh, you know, I was not the smart kid. I had a lot of common sense. I had a lot of street savvy,
Mm-hmm.
and those were the things that gave me the drive and the motivation. And I didn't have those role models in my community that would look up to me and say, well, this is a pathway that you gotta take in order to become the individual that you want to become. The reality is that in many communities, and I talked about this at Clubhouse last night, is that there's many children that are so poor that they can't afford a dream, right? And a lot of times it's not so much about the financial resources, okay, but the fact that our parents or our role models are not resourceful enough to be able to give us the tools, because it's not always about money. It's not about, if you want to make it in life, you can make it, right? You just
Right.
got to try a little harder. You got to work a little harder. Now, tell us how you were able to get that $250,000 scholarship into Rutgers, which is one of the best universities. I'm on the best in the universities in the country. As a matter of fact, my niece is there.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
that's good.
yeah. So how was it that you were able to do that? And tell us a little bit about that journey and that process.
Yes, yes. And that's no, that's a great question. And that actually, w- during that process, we helped a lot of people along the way, and it created a program. We created a program off of it, and that's why I created Blue Football Pathway Academy off of that program too. Um, we didn't know what we were doing when we first started out. All I knew was I told my dad. Well, I had an epiphany in eighth grade, um, I'm a believer, and God told me, like, if you focus and do these things, you're gonna get there. Like, literally, like, I'm at the playground and this is what I hear in my head. So the first thing I do is go to the library, research schools that want to go to for sports broadcasting. And I talk to my dad and say, Dad, I want to go to college on a full scholarship and play football. What do I have to do? And he's like, oh, okay, son. All right. I'm gonna have to do research. So he did his research. We found NUC camps, was one of the bigger camps, I guess, around the country to go to. They had them in different states, and we drove to Pennsylvania. I had my first, combine workout, and I did very, very well. We did go to one before that, which I did horrible. Actually, it was a Nike combine, and in 8th grade, and I did terrible, like one of the worst times and everything. And then on the drive back, my uncle told me and said, Quentin, I always tell this in my speeches to the kids. He said, Quentin, like, you want to be great, right? I said, yes, sir, I do. He said, okay, these are the things you're gonna have to do to become great, because right now you're not satisfied with what you did at that combine. I was like, no. He's like, all right, these are the things you have to do. You got to limit your time on the PlayStation 3 at the time. Yeah, PlayStation 3. Limit your time on a computer. You're gonna have to stay after school and work on your academics a lot more than you are right now. And you're gonna have to wake up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym about 2 days a week. And that's what you're gonna have to lock in and do from now on in your high school, from middle school to high school. You're gonna do that. Are you willing to do that? I said, yes, sir, I want it. He's like, all right. So, and he was a trainer at a gym. So that dedication, I dedicated my life from there. I like legit dedicated my life to the process, not just football, but the process of like wanting to succeed. And that was another pivotal epiphany moment for me as well too. Saying that on the phone, I'm dedicating myself to this process. So throughout that time, we went to a couple more camps down south in Texas and Florida, and people were, every season I would play, people were like, how is this kid getting noticed like this? Like, what's going? Because my town is 200,000 people. It's hard to get noticed in our town, and traveling out is the only way to get noticed. So people started catching on, seeing me on the news, like Gause getting scholarships from XYZ school, getting interest from Oregon. And so people start coming along, asking questions. Then my uncle creates a program for athletes, mainly just football at first. And we got about like probably 25 kids at first that came in and we started working out. We went to 7-on-7 camps around the country. And that created this attitude of just wanting to succeed. So it's like, while I was working on my journey, I was pulling like people along with me to help bring them up that wanted it as well. And by the way, like, from having the program since 2007, we've had a 90% graduation rate. We've had about 5-6 kids go to the NFL. One of them are sticking right now. We've had multiple scholarships, D1, D2, D3, and academic as well too. So wow. It's crazy, right?
Wow, what an incredible story. What is your uncle's name? Because I want to acknowledge your uncle. Everybody needs an uncle like that. What is your uncle's name?
I love him, man. Kayla Gause.
Kayla Gause, Uncle Kayla Gause, man, we want to acknowledge you here today in Common Clean Podcast for that love and compassion and commitment and dedication to the youth. Thank you so much, because it is because of your uncle and your parents that you're here today talking to us on Common Clean Podcast. Thank you so much, Uncle Kayla. So, and it looks to me that what happened to you at that Nike camp was not a mishap, but it was an opportunity for you to rededicate yourself and recommit yourself to your path and to your journey.
Right.
Okay. So let's go a little bit deeper, because I do want to talk. Is that how the Football Pathway Academy was born? Out of that journey?
Yeah, out of that journey, yes.
Okay, so tell us how you got to the $250,000 grant and how you got to Rutgers, and then we're going to go into your career.
Got you. So that Rutgers scholarship, I had about probably like 7 to 8 scholarships, and then some that came later, but I already committed to Rutgers. And like from Oregon, UCLA, all these other schools, but Rutgers was, New York City, Rochester's about It's about 5 hours from Rochester. So it was like perfect. The way I got it was I went to a camp down there and I showed out. I did my thing. It was a 7-on-7 camp. So we always traveled in vans down there as a crew, and we had about like 20 kids. And I was, the linebacker of the crew, and we performed. We did really well. Always got to the finals, and every time we would have a break during the session, we would run around, do a lap, and yell "New York, New York," because representing our state, because there was no New York State representation at all, and we would do push-ups, we would do workouts during this tournament. Like, who does that? And that, again, my dad and Kayla always coming up with ideas to mark. That's why I'm in marketing right now, to market ourselves without having to say anything. It's like guerrilla marketing.
What a genius idea. What a genius idea. So tell me, was there ever a point that you felt that because of the dedication to your future, to your career, to your football career, that you missed out on your childhood, on your teenage years? Was there ever that thought?
No, not really. I mean, not really. I don't think so. The friends I made along the journey, I made some amazing friends, and everybody was within the football realm. Or I guess did I miss out on partying and having a good time, like that stuff? Not really. Like, even when I went to go party, I'm like, man, I'm missing out. I could be doing a workout right now to get ready for XYZ combine camp, or getting ready for Rutgers, or I could be getting an opportunity, and I was always stuck around people. And this is a big important thing. The people in your circle are super important. Oh man. Super important.
Absolutely. We are the total sum of the 5 people we run around with. And if you're running around with a whole bunch of group of guys that their interest is football, physical fitness, getting ahead in life, advancing, looking at their goals, they're setting goals at such a young age. What an incredible opportunity to be surrounded by people like that.
Right.
What would be the advice that you would give to a young Quentin, a 12, 13-year-old Quentin that does not have that support system? How can he or she tap into that support system? How do we look for it? How do we identify it?
Exactly. No, that's a great question. So I always, when I go speak with kids at different public schools and stuff like that, I let them know everybody doesn't have the support system I had. There was other kids in our program that didn't have that as well too, but we built a community, and there's always a community of people that want to help. And if you go to those right people, or you look for them, or if you search, you'll find it. But you may find the wrong people at first, but you will find the right person at some point. There's a community, and there's a community of people that always want to help you. You just got to go find them. And the environment you're in, because the environment that people are in, they stick to their environment and let it be them. But you can be a leader in your environment, change it, and help have those mentors and people to help you along the way too. And one thing that my dad told me that I always talk in my speeches as well too is, he said, "Son, if I died today, you can go to any of my friends here in the city of Rochester or whoever," and it was a couple NFL players or some millionaires. He said, I trust them so much, I can give them $10,000 cash and say, "Take that to the bank for me, please, and go deposit it. I trust them that much. These are the people you need to be around if I died today." And that put tears in my eyes, and I'm like, "Dad, I don't want you to," but he's serious. He's like, it's a community of people, the right people.
What an incredible advice given by your father, and I think a lot of times people can look at the African American culture, or my culture, Hispanic culture, and we are judged by a lot of the things that had happened. There's a lot of households without fathers, single mother homes and stuff like that. But your father sounds like such an incredible, outstanding human being. And your uncle and your mom and everybody, you had an incredible support system. So I think that is a testament that those didn't exist if we look for them, right? That we cannot generalize how the communities are. That within those communities, if we look hard enough, or if we take the time to take the prejudice out of ourselves, we're able to find people that are good and loving and supporting and caring and compassionate and want to move our communities forward.
Right.
You said something a minute ago, if you look for communities, look for support systems. And I think a lot of times, and I know this happened in my community, growing up. I came from a family of 13 children, very dysfunctional background, a lot of poverty, but I knew that I didn't belong there. I knew that I had responsibility to step out of there. And I think a lot of times we are held back by our feelings, by our emotions, and by our fears of the unknown.
Right.
You know what? When you're in such a desperate situation, anything's better. Anything's better than what you have. It's okay to step out of your comfort zone.
Right.
And a lot of times our comfort zone is not comfortable. It's just simply known. It's what we know. And it's upon us to step out of it. So tell us a little bit more about your college experience. You get to Rutgers, and what happens there? How did you do? What happened there? How were you welcome? What was your experience there in college?
Yeah, so the college experience, and those who know like the recruiting game and understand, like when you get to the school finally, it's not the same as the way they treat you when you get there. So they treat you all nice. They serve you lobster steak to bring you in so you can commit. They allow you to go out, have fun and stuff, so you can feel like the vibe of the school. And you commit, get ready for the summertime. You come in, or springtime, and coaches act a little bit different. It's a little bit different, and I already knew that coming in. I knew that they were gonna like change up the attitude. To, like, I'm looking for the next kid for the next year, so you're just in our program now, so you got to work hard for your spot. My thing was I kept the same dedication, waking up early, constantly. That helped me get through school, because I was put through some of the most rigorous workouts in high school with my uncle and my dad. They trained me, and I wanted that. I wanted the hardest workouts to get me ready, and the smartest workouts. And when I got to school, it was like nothing. Like the workouts were like nothing to me, to tell the truth. Like, and I know my coach Cole, he might be listening, but it wasn't, because I trained myself early for it. And I think the toughest part was I gotta tell you this one story. We woke up at 5:30 in the morning. First day, they told us come out. We got on the steps, running up the stairs with sandbags. People on it was like 7 guys on scholarship quit that day on scholarship and gave up.
Wow, 7.
7 guys on scholarship quit. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, this is not even that bad. I'm like, you guys can't. So it's just funny. And a lot of guys fought through it. But I think the overall college experience, like the toughest thing was, learning the concept of football. We played like a NFL defense. So you really had to understand exactly everything that was going on the field. So as a freshman, for me, it took me time to learn that. And the next year, so I redshirted. The next year, I got on the field and did special teams and then worked my way up. And I took time to study the game. I became a student of the game. My dad always told me, who's your favorite player? We did like the whole course I got is like a lot of stuff. It's literally my whole life of how I went about it. And so the first thing he told me before I stepped foot on the field in high school, he was like, who's your favorite football player? I said, Michael Singletary. And he said, do more research on other players too that are Hall of Famers, and understand who's the greats. Same thing in business. Understand who's done it the best, so you can study it and become better. And yeah, like I studied hard in college, and that helped lead me to become a captain, let me become a starter. And I played in 3 conferences, which I don't think anybody, probably only guys from Rutgers and Louisville have, but I played in the Big East, the American Conference, and the Big Ten. So we transferred to different conferences while I was there. So
you actually had an intersection in the Big Ten, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
That was cool. Yeah, it was a great experience. It was just like a tip ball, grab the ball, and like then I got pushed out of bounds after. But that experience, playing in the Big Ten, it was amazing. Like playing against Michigan State, Michigan, Ezekiel Elliott, all these guys that you see on TV all the time, Melvin Gordon, all these guys, I played against them. And it was like the one year that my last year, like everybody was just going to the league, first round, second round.
Wow. What an incredible experience. Now, let's talk about academics at Rutgers. Okay. there's often said that there's a lot of favoritism towards players. Did you experience that, or is that a myth?
I would say Rutgers, they say if you, the only way you could fail is if you burn your books. So what I mean by that is that they have a lot of support and help through the tutors. Uh, Favoritism, no, we had teachers that, you have some teachers that love football and they're going to treat you a little bit different, but they're serious about the grades though. I have to say that because there were some teachers that they did not play at all. They teachers that didn't love football. They were making sure some people didn't pass. They didn't want you to pass. And I always made sure I sat in the front 3 rows. I would take notes, ask questions. And if I did get stuck within, maybe if I had a bad grade or something, the teacher would either, allow me to have an extra assignment or something because I put the work in early and I paid attention. And that's with anybody. Like if you're being disrespectful in class, the teacher's not going to like you. They're human. So.
There's a common theme that I keep hearing from you, and I can see why you've been such a successful young man. Dedication, okay? Goal, you set a goal very early on, okay? Community, you had a lot of community support, but you seek for it, you look for it, you wanted, you not only did you have the support of your parents and your uncle, but you also look for the support within the community, your peers, people that had like interests, preparation, you talk about preparation. And then of course you get into the academic part of it and you talk about engagement and participation. And those are all traits that are so important for success, whether it's football, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's solopreneurship, whatever it is, those are traits that we have to implement in our daily lives in order for us to be successful at whatever it is that we want to do, including failure,
Yes.
including failure. So in 2016, you are an undrafted free agent for Philadelphia Eagles. Tell us about that experience and what happened there.
So cool. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So yeah, I didn't get drafted. That whole experience was interesting. Multiple calls by teams and they're like, we're about to draft you. And then it didn't happen. I'm like, oh my gosh, my heart, but finally, undrafted free agent with the Eagles, went in there with the attitude of, I got to prove myself, got to make it happen. First preseason game, interception. Wow. Almost took it back home. Got pushed out of bounds again. Yeah. And really did my job, learned a lot from those guys, man, like Carson Wentz, we all came in as rookies, all these guys. And it was just an amazing experience. Now I got released from the team. Again, you can't control that. You could perform well, but it could be, hey, we're going to grab this guy from this team because he's played in the league for 4 years and he's an undrafted free. It's all this stuff that goes on. So, but by performing well, I had a couple opportunities from it. So as you see the different teams I've been on. So those teams they saw me perform well with the Eagles, and they always say, hey, if you're not with our team, there's it's 31 other teams that are going to look at you. And that sits true. So when ended up having an opportunity with the Patriots, and I had Broncos and Patriots, and my agent said, where do you want to go? I was like, I got choices. So I chose the Patriots because I had tons of Rutgers players on the Patriots at the time. Devin McCourtney, Deron Harmon, Logan Ryan, they're all not there. Well, a lot of guys aren't there anymore, but there's that whole experience. I was like, I'm going there because I know that culture. Bill Belichick and Greg Schiano, who was my college coach at the time, that they had the same culture. So I understood it. I knew what I had to do when I get in there. And when I saw Belichick the first day, he saw the Rutgers R on my shirt. He's like introverted. He's like, he looking down and he looks up at me. He's like, oh, Rutgers. So I knew I was in the right place at the time. But yeah, it was NFL. Just the whole experience in my rookie year was bouncing around from team to team. And I'll tell you this experience too, because you talked about just being more vulnerable and open. I had a moment where, hey, I got released from the Patriots after a while, and then it was only like a week. After it was just like a week went by, and I had to try out with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. I do my light runs and stuff here and there, but I go to do the tryout, and I don't know if it was humidity or whatever it was. I was tired. Like I was tired and gassed during the workout, and I'm like, why am I tired? You know, I did my work. So the guy was like, well, he talked to my agent. He's like, well, he looked a little tired, so we can't sign him. Basically told him that, and that's it heavy with me. I'm like, always been the guy that outworked people. I'm like, no, that can't be me. That can't be me. I'm not gonna be that guy. I had one more shot, Broncos. I'm in the middle of nowhere in New England, in Massachusetts, and at a hotel, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put even more work in because like that's not me. I'm running in the hotel parking lot, doing tempo runs, push-ups, sit-ups, while there's people outside smoking, just watching me run back and forth. It was a little plot of grass, and I did my drills on that. And
Wow.
then I ran 4 miles every single day. So knowing Denver, the elevation is crazy, right?
Sure.
So it's like 5,000 feet or something like that above sea level. And I get there, there's 10 linebackers at the workout.
Wow.
I'm like, okay, I love it. Let's go. so so that motivates me even more. So I get there and I could see like a lot of the guys there, like you could tell they've been cut too, and everybody's their last opportunity. I'm like, I'm taking this job. Like I'm taking this job. Like there's nothing, I'm taking this job. That's it. That was in my head. I prepared for it. And when I got there, when I worked out, the elevation did not bother me at all. And I knew I said, yes, I'm prepared. I feel good. So when I did the workout, we finished, they grab a tight end. The tight end stands up, they grab him, take him to a room. Then they come out and just sit there. They come out and sit there and just look at us and they're like, Gause. I'm like, pull me. I shake John Elway's hand, and guess what they tell me? We wanted to see if you were conditioned.
Wow.
We wanted to see if you were conditioned and ready. I said, thank you. I'm here, sir. I'm ready to play. Let's go. Was on practice squad for a couple weeks. Ended up becoming playing role on special teams and playing a bit here and there on defense. And spent 2 years there, and then bounced around to different leagues after that. But man, like that was a defining moment.
Wow.
Right there.
Incredible. Now tell us, the NFL, the NBA, sports overall is known for the swag. The players, they get their stroke, they get the swag, they get the clothes, they get the watches, the cars, the money.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever fall into that trap? Did you ever felt like I made it? Or did you ever keep that hunger spirit that, no, I'm not comfortable. If I get comfortable, I truly believe that the moment we become comfortable in whatever state we're in is when we lose.
That's true. That is true. Did I ever get to a point like that? I've been tempted, to get to that point, and I've always fought against it. I've always told myself, you gotta always evolve as a person, but don't like change to that. Don't change, because I've been around guys who are like, hey, I'm trying to think. It was like during summer camp, and I go say the guy's name, like, hey, like, you want to fly with me to Miami on a private jet over here? And then by the time when we come back, we got practice in the morning. We're literally gonna fly in, and then we have practice. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm fine with that. I don't need to do that. I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna keep studying my playbook. Hey, you're making $100 million a year, bro. I'm not making $100 million a year right now. Like, I'm not at that contract level yet. It's my first year still. I'm gonna get there. And that mindset, like I tell myself that because I got to stay focused. Some things you can control, some things you can't, but as long as you put in all the effort and you were prepared. Now, if you were presented an opportunity and you weren't prepared for it, that's just a lot right there about you, but if you prepared and you studied every day and night and you were ready to go, same thing in football. If you're ready for the game, I got to a point where I knew what was about to happen before the play happened. That's preparation. So Same thing in life. If you're prepared, you'll accomplish and get the job done. But if you're not, I don't know how you can go in and take a test that you didn't study for and get 100.
Absolutely. Quentin, often in sports, particularly, we make a big deal when a player gets released, and people get fired, laid off every day from their jobs, but we don't make a big deal about that. Okay. Why is it that we make such a big deal about an athlete getting released from a team when in business, in corporate, is something that happens every day? And how does an athlete handle that being released? Because you're scrutinized by the media. You know, I may be laid off from my company or let go from my company, but nobody's ever going to notice that. So probably it doesn't have the same emotional impact on me than it would be as someone that is a celebrity and that is highly scrutinized by the media.
Yeah, I think you know, we talk about that all the time in the locker room. We're like, this is not a normal job.
Yeah.
It's not a normal job at all.
It's a job, and that's what we got to remember. It's a job. It's a fun job, but it's a job, right?
It's a job. Yeah. It's like, who gets fined that amount of money? Like, you can get fined. Some guys get fined $25K off of pushing somebody or doing, and it's like that. You don't normally see that at a normal job. You know, your whole pay. I mean, some guys are making millions, so $25K, they can take that out, but
Right.
that's their hard-earned money that they're earning. Like, why are you taking that amount? So we're just thinking about that in the locker room a lot. It's like, man, like, nobody at a corporate job probably aren't gonna get fined for that amount for just, I don't know, the coffee cup wasn't clean, $25K. Like, that's how it kind of is in the NFL. If you're standing by a fight, you're just standing by, you didn't even take part in it, you're gonna get fined 50, whatever amount your contract is. You'll get fined a portion of your check out. And I'm like, so there's a difference, definitely. But it does teach you to just be mindful. It teaches you to be mindful and understanding, like, the landscape of the land. And then when you come into, like, business, just normal business atmosphere, it makes you appreciate it a lot. It makes you appreciate it a lot more. But there's definitely differences, and athletes are scrutinized a lot more within. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because there's somewhat of a mindset that it's easy money, right? That athletes make easy money, and the reality is that a surgeon, a plastic surgeon or heart surgeon, right? He goes to school for 12 years after high school in order to become a professional, and then he may go on and make several $1 million after that. But we equate that to a football player goes from high school to college and then from there to the NFL if they're lucky enough to do it. But most people don't see all of that in between. They don't hear what you just, you walked us through the journey, as a 12, 13-year-old boy, running every day, working out every day, dedicating, giving up, going out, partying, drinking, taking care of your physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, okay? Taking care of all those cornerstones of our lives that most people we overlook, and we just look at them as celebrity instead of giving them credit for all that mental preparation, physical preparation, emotional preparation, spiritual preparation, because without those cornerstones, we cannot be balanced. There is no way that we can elevate to any kind of level. Right. And I think in celebrities, whether it's an athlete or a movie star or an actor or an actress, whatever it may be, right? We fail to look at all that dedication because we just see the glamour of it. So it's easy. It's easy for us to get lost in the swag and not the effort that is behind it.
That is so true.
Yeah,
that is so true.
So take us there. Where are you at today? You're where are you at today, and what's in the future for you?
So where I'm at today. So I've played. So when I got released from the Broncos in 2017, I took a long drive home to Rochester, New York. So that's a 24-hour drive. Why did I do that? I could have just shipped my car and made it easy, or fly. I said, you know what? I'm going to take a drive. I'm going to think about my next moves. I already had an interest. I already started a business. Just had like an expense account, LLC, whatever like that. And then I wanted to build something, just make another LLC. And I'm like, I want to get into video production. I've always edited videos when I was younger. I had a little business of just creating video highlight reels for football athletes. So I made a little business, $60, $120, whatever, here and there, and made a little business out of it. So I've always been like a little entrepreneur. Even DJing in college, found a way to work with the Res Life crew. So now I had a gig every single weekend or whatever, and I always got a chance to negotiate my contract. So I was already learning, like, as a young pup. And I've always been entrepreneurial because my grandpa owned a business called G&G Steakout, and huge in Rochester, New York. tons of people always show up. And it closed, it was going for 20, went about for 20 years, and they passed away back in 2011, my grandma and grandpa. But I was a part of that growing up, sweeping the floors, understood that like as an entrepreneur, you got to work hard for what you get. It's about togetherness as family. I grew up around that. Same thing as my mother coming from Panama, Central America, family. That's what it's all about. So where I'm at today, I've thought about creating a business, and I was like, I'm gonna create a video production business. And first started off by myself doing it. It was actually me and my brother. We went to Cancun at first, started just filming this YouTube stuff. And then from there, like reached out to a couple hotels here and there. And we love South America, Dominican Republic, Colombia. So we've reached out to those different hotels and got a chance to film like a couple like some video content for them, and started there. We didn't do anything domestic. We just started international. Then when we had enough content, we came back and we started reaching out to different companies, showing them what we've done for these different brands, and it started to grow from there. So we started with video. Then we're like, hey, there was somebody else that was really good at graphic design that I went to college with. So we brought them onto the team. We're like, hey, yeah, let's graphic design. We need help with this and that. Graphic design got added on. Then we had photography added on. Then we added on the marketing aspect of it as well too. We found, again, like just talking to people, reaching out to different businesses. Got denied a lot, denied a lot, but I'm like, I'm still hungry. Let's go keep reaching out. And the opportunities kept building and building. We ended up doing a project with Lamar Advertising, like out the blue, just relationship based. Westgate Resorts, Ford, NFL. Obviously, like made sure like got in there and
Sure,
do their
sure.
content. But then reached
World
out
champ.
to right. Then our latest one, and we've done like we work with smaller businesses as well too, here and there. But those are some of the big brands. And then the big one that we closed not too long ago was Google. And that was an awesome opportunity working with them. Great company to work with. And they gave us a gift as well too at the end of it. And just an amazing, just the whole journey. And we're still building, but the whole journey, man, is just is an amazing journey. It's not the easy one. You got to keep grinding, but the applying that football aspect to business, that discipline really helps a lot.
Yes.
And the funny thing is, I was playing football while running a company. I left the roles to my brother, who's a co-founder, but I was in the XFL, the AAF, the CFL, while running a company. So just to keep because I love the game. I love the game. So yeah, that's been my journey. And then I created Football Pathway Academy during COVID. And
Tell us
yeah,
about
man.
Football Pathway Academy and what does it do and who is it good for?
Yes. So Football Pathway Academy, it is the blueprint, my blueprint of my journey, and I'm giving it to kids. So I'm showing them what it takes to get a scholarship. I say 250K because that's the average scholarship you normally get, but I'm giving them the blueprint of my journey, of all the ins and outs of understanding. Take a SAT. Some people are afraid to take a SAT early. I took it in 8th grade.
Wow.
Did I get it? Did I get everything right? No, but I took it probably 3 times. I understood it. So by the time I hit my it was like my sophomore, junior year, I passed it and I was good. I took it so many times, I understood it. So there's little tidbits in there about stuff like that. I've recorded multiple NFL players. There's tons of drills in there for every position, not just linebackers. Uh, I give the entire process, NCAA compliance, understand. It's just how to get there, the whole blueprint. And I'm actually I'm actually I'm actually even adding on like more mentoring aspects to it. So like getting more more in person mentoring. So like working out in person and stuff like that. If anybody wants to fly to Atlanta or New York, coming over there. But there's so many different aspects we're adding to it. We're still building onto it. It's so much to add to it that I'm literally reaching out to Under Armour, Nike, reaching out to these different brands because I want them to be on board. I want them to be on board to be able to like push this forward even more. But I just want to give back. Um, that's always been me. That's how I've always been taught. Give back and bring people up with you. Those who want to get pulled up, will bring people up with you that want to succeed. And I'm just trying to give back. This is my way of giving back to the community.
Incredible. Now tell me your biggest lesson for 2020.
Biggest lesson for 2020, I would say, is patience. Patience. The reason I say that is because we're always rushing. We're always moving. We constantly are on the go. And I think COVID has really helped us like appreciate because some people haven't had a chance to see their family or kids all the time. And relationships were either built or finally someone knew like, hey, maybe, I've just been living this life of just running, haven't really had a chance to spend time, really understand who they are. So patience, just meditating, really learning. And that's definitely been this year has really taught me a lot about that, and understanding and diving into new ventures, different things that you haven't done before that you've always thought about doing, and taking that time to really put the effort in to complete those.
Where is your preparation today as far as your routine for the NFL? Is that still a possibility, or the XFL a possibility?
So routine. So to answer that question, I would say, and the NFL XFL definitely still a possibility. I'm in great shape. I'm literally every day. So my routine is very similar to like when I was back a young puck and waking up at 5:30 in the morning. I always wake up at 5 or 5:30, get to the gym, work out. I ride my bike about I do like a 13-mile ride. I might actually start doing more 20-mile rides, but 13-mile ride, and then I come back. Oh, then I do field work. Then I come back, and then I get straight meditate. So I pray and meditate, and then I think about what I'm grateful for, and I think about the different goals that I have. I have a vision board right here that I keep all the time of what I want to accomplish, of the goals I want to hit constantly. I know a lot of people have seen the movie The Secret and stuff like that, and that mentality, that mindset of just constantly visualizing where I want to be and how I need to get there, and being consistent. That's the biggest thing. So that's my mind. So that's what I kind of do every day. Then I read for about 30 minutes to an hour. I take a walk as well too, just to, again, clear my mind out. And sometimes I don't even touch my phone unless I'm listening to music or just changing the song. That's it. Read, and then I dive into work. Make sure, answer emails, projects, all that. Close out the day. Take breaks in between. Close out the day with either another walk, bike again, workout, or reading. One of those. I could choose whatever I want. I have it all blocked out, block scheduling for a reason. So I'm constantly on it every single day. And that's how it's been in college, been in high school. It keeps me accountable. I have other people that keep me accountable too. And it's a constant, is constantly looking to get 1% better each day. And I love Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Yes.
Get 1% better each and every single day. And that's going to get you, was it 27% better for the year or something like that. That's the mindset that I have. And that's everything as a whole. Yeah.
Incredible. Where can people find you?
Where people can find me at. So on Instagram at Q Gause, Facebook Quentin Gause, pretty easy. Twitter Quentin Gause, and then my business ironvisuals.com. On Instagram at iron_visuals, and then Facebook is Iron Visuals New York. And if we want to be able to check out Football Pathway Academy, and if your kids, you want to join the program, go to www.footballpathwayacademy.com, Instagram at Football Pathway Academy, and that's pretty. And in Facebook we have Football Pathway Academy as well too. So that's how everyone can reach me.
And all that information will be available on the show notes. Quentin Gause, entrepreneur, professional athlete, but more importantly, a kind, loving individual. Thank you so much.
Peter, thank you so much for having me on the show, man. And yeah, thanks. I appreciate you.